Welcome to Lesson 4.3, Securing Wireless Networks. In your Candidate Information Bulletin, we are in the Communications and Network Security domain, and we are in Key Area of Knowledge A, which is Apply Secure Design Principles to Network Architecture. Our topics include wireless network technologies, Bluetooth, cellular networks, 802.11 access modes, wireless threats and vulnerabilities, wireless attack vectors, Wi-Fi protection, and the Wi-Fi Alliance. Wireless networking uses radio waves to connect devices and to transmit data. And there are 4 types of networks that you need to be familiar with, starting with a WPAN, which is a wireless personal area network. There are 4 types of wireless networks that you need to be familiar with. The first is WPAN, which is our wireless personal area network. That interconnects devices, for example keyboards, within a very limited range. The second is a WLAN, which is a wireless local area network. More often than not, that's going to be based on the 802.11 network protocol. The next is a WMAN, which stands for a wireless metropolitan area network, and that connects 802.11 networks using 802.16. And lastly, a WWAN, which is a wireless wide area network, and that connects using point-to-point microwave links. So you want to make sure that you can recognize what a WPAN, a WLAN, a WMAN, and a WWAN. And they really all make sense, with PAN being personal, LAN your local area network, MAN your metropolitan area network, and WAN being your wireless area network. We also have Bluetooth to consider. Bluetooth is based on 802.15. Bluetooth uses very short-wave, low-power signals with a maximum range of approximately 50 feet. Bluetooth was originally designed to replace data cables, and it uses the same frequency as wireless networks, which is the 2.4 gigahertz frequency. Bluetooth is subject to bluejacking and blue snarfing. So there's 2 new terms for you, bluejacking and blue snarfing. Bluejacking is injecting an unsolicited message, and blue snarfing is an unauthorized device access through a Bluetooth connection. So bluejacking is a form of injection. Blue snarfing, again, is unauthorized device access through a Bluetooth connection. Mitigation is to disable discover mode. Cellular networks are yet another form of wireless networks. A cellular network is a radio frequency distributed network that divides geographic areas into cells. Our cells are serviced by a fixed location transceiver known as a base station. Cellular systems include Global Systems for Mobile Communications, GSM, which is used by AT&T, T-Mobile, and non-US carriers, and Code Division Multiple Access, CDMA, which is used by Sprint, Verizon, and US Cellular. GSM and CDMA are multiple access technologies which allow for voice and data to be on the same radio channel. The wireless networks that you will most likely be responsible for managing as a security professional are 802.11 based networks. There are a couple of different modes in an 802.11 environment. Ad hoc mode is a wireless peer-to-peer relationship, so when 2 wireless devices can connect directly with each other. Infrastructure mode topology includes wireless devices, access points, and wired routers connected to the internet. There are a number of options to choose from, and they have different security controls for access control, authentication, encryption, and integrity. WEP, Wired Encryption Protocol, uses 802.11. It uses EAP, or Extensible Authentication Protocol, for authentication. It uses WEP for encryption, and there is no integrity. WPA uses 802.11, or a pre-shared key, can use EAP or a pre-shared key for authentication, does have integrity using TKIP, which replaced RC4, which has been broken, and for integrity can use MICO-MIC. WPA2, which is really the current standard, uses 802.11 or a pre-shared key for access control, can use EAP for authentication, or a pre-shared key. A pre-shared key means that we're using one key and it's known to both sides. For encryption, we're using AES, which is the most current standard, and for integrity, we're using AES with a CBC MAC, which is a form of an HMAC. Now, there are a number of wireless threats and vulnerabilities that you need to be aware of, which include default configurations that by default most wireless devices come wide open, broadcasting their SSID with default passwords that are well known and distributed across the internet. There's also protocol weaknesses in a number of the wireless protocols that can easily be exploited, as well as mobile device vulnerabilities that are just inherent to the device that depend upon wireless connections. Wireless threats can be either passive or active. Active attacks include war driving. Now, war driving is attempting to break into a wireless network using hacking software. And you'll sometimes see markings that indicate, we got you, we got into that network. So the wireless attack vectors, again, include passive. So key wireless attack vectors are passive attacks, man-in-the-middle attacks, and denial-of-service attacks. Passive attacks include sniffing, eavesdropping, and packet capture. Our man-in-the-middle attacks can happen because of a rogue access point, MAC impersonation, or replay attacks. Our denial-of-service attacks include bogus requests, signal jamming, or packet injection. So all of these various attack vectors are passive, are man-in-the-middle, and our denial-of-service are ones that we need to consider when we're doing a risk assessment of our wireless environment. Wi-Fi protection best practices include using the strongest protocol available. To change the default SSID so it's not at the default configuration, perhaps saying Netgear, that you give it a different name, but even better yet, that you disable the broadcast ID so only the folks who know that the wireless network exists will actually be able to connect onto your network. That's a huge deterrent to war driving. You want to segment your wireless network so that it's segmented away from the rest of your network so that the vulnerabilities of a wireless network doesn't impact your wired network. You should be implementing an additional layer of authentication. All of the various types of authentication that we looked at a few moments ago are relatively weak. So we want to have an additional layer of authentication, perhaps like a radius server. And you should be implementing a VPN for an additional layer of protection and segregation. Now, we'll be talking about a VPN in subsequent lessons, but a VPN is going to be a virtual private network. It's going to have encryption and authentication built in, and so it supplements what's pretty weak in the wireless environment of encryption and authentication options. The Wi-Fi Alliance is a nonprofit industry association that develops wireless specifications, encourages innovation, and certifies product. So if you're responsible for a wireless network, one of the places you should go in your research is the Wi-Fi Alliance so that you can see how products have been certified and what features and functionality they have. Let's take a look at the Wi-Fi Alliance. So we're out here, we can see they tell you who they are, certification, news and events, and product finders. This is a place that you should add to your list of research sites. Okay, let's review our Lesson 4.3 components. We did a broad scope overview of wireless network technologies. We talked about Bluetooth, cellular networks, 802.11 access modes, wireless threats and vulnerabilities, wireless attack vectors, Wi-Fi protection, and an introduction to the Wi-Fi Alliance. So the terms that I want you to know coming out of this lesson are bluejacking, blue snarfing, war driving, being in an ad hoc mode, WEP, WPA2, a WWAN, GSM, and CDMA. So go ahead, put me on pause, take a few minutes, match these up, then come on back, and we'll do it together. All right, let's look at our Lesson 4.3 terms. Bluejacking is a type of an injection attack. Blue snarfing is unauthorized access. War driving is when we're hacking wireless networks. Ad hoc mode is peer-to-peer connectivity of wireless devices. WEP, for Wired Encryption Protocol, is really broken encryption, doesn't work anymore, and there's no integrity. So on a WEP network, when we're choosing WEP, again, broken encryption, no integrity available. WPA uses 802.1x. It uses EAP, and AES, and CBC MAC. So on a WPA2 network, we are going to get some authentication, some encryption, and some integrity. We're still going to want to supplant that with secondary layers of each. A WWAN uses point-to-point microwave links. GSM and CDMA are cellular technologies. So we're going to end with our 3 CISSP exam tips. You want to remember that Bluetooth uses shortwave, low-power signals with a maximum range of approximately 50 feet. GSM and CDMA are multiple access technologies which do allow voice and data on the same radio channel. And Wi-Fi is a widely adopted, rapidly developing set of technologies. So thanks for joining me for this lesson, and I look forward to seeing you in the next.